and Sonia Sodha are here with today's top stories. Give us what you know about Donald Trump and the BBC, Nick.
Well, there's no silence.
$1 billion.
Yeah, there's no silence from the White House. This is an extraordinary story. He's now essentially demanding $1 billion. He's issued papers, $1 billion, and you've got until Friday to retract and issue a full apology. This comes back to what he says is a doctored video. Actually, you don't need... They accept that it's the doctored video. And very briefly, what the BBC did, or a production company they then authorised, they take clips 54 minutes apart. The President is saying that this has discredited him, it has damaged him materially. How they come to £1 billion, I don't know. He has got form. He's sued news organisations in the United States, and successfully. I mean, once, for instance, he put in for $20 billion. He got $16 million. So, you know, there is a deal to be done. That can be avoided if the BBC just say, yes, we got it wrong, we retract, we apologise. And it now would appear to fall to the chairman, Samir Shah, because, remember, the Director General and the head of news, or news CEO, Tim Daly and Deborah Turness, respectively, they've all stood down. And many commentators are puzzled. If you're going to apologise, let's just get it done. Normally, and I've made plenty of mistakes in my career, it's quite healthy, it's quite liberating. Yes, I got it wrong. Can we now move on? That's basically the background. We wait and we see Tim Davie, the outgoing DG, addresses all BBC staff at some point today. OK.
Why aren't they, as Nick's saying, just coming straight out and saying, we absolutely got this totally wrong, we're really sorry, and we are sorry for the damage that we've done to anybody involved, but particularly the President, not least because there's a threat of $1 billion lawsuit?
Well, I think what we know from reports sort of behind the scenes from within the BBC is that there was a lot of disagreement at board level about how to respond to this. And what seems to have happened is that instead of one side just winning and saying, well, we've got to take this tack, it just led to stasis and nothing happening, which is sort of the worst possible outcome in some ways. I think it was inevitable that Donald Trump sort of wading in on this, issuing the legal threat, has made this story all about Donald Trump and what's going to happen there. But I have to say, I think there were a number of other issues that were raised in this leaked memo that went to the BBC board. Really serious allegations of bias on particularly kind of cultural hot-button issues like Israel, Gaza, on sex and gender and the conflict between women's rights and trans rights, which is an area I've written a lot about as a journalist. And I'm worried that that is getting lost in all of this and that the BBC, it's actually in quite comfortable territory in some ways, in the sense that this has become a big row about Donald Trump and everyone's got to, you know, everyone British has got to rally behind the BBC, when actually there were some really important issues that were raised about editorial standards at the BBC. I'm a big defender of the BBC, but, you know, looking at its output on sex and gender, for example, it has felt biased and like there's only one legitimate perspective and that women like me who thinks that female-only spaces should be protected, you know, that's just a bigoted perspective. And what I really want to see as a friend of the BBC is those issues being tackled openly at the BBC board, being aired and talked about. I want them to look into it. I want them to sort of think about how it's got brilliant standards across lots of its journalism, how it can ensure that that extends to cultural hot-button issues too, which are very, very contested. Everyone's got strong views on them. So I think there are some real issues here that risk getting lost in the theatre of Donald Trump threatening to sue the BBC.
I mean, he does have form on this as well, as you said, Nick. I mean, he's engaged with various media institutes. ABC News settled a defamation suit brought about by Trump. In 2024, they agreed to donate $15 million to his presidential library and issue a statement. So it feels like he is going to follow through here.
I think whatever you say about President Trump, he is a fairly thin-skinned individual, which is surprising when you think of the position that he holds. And he's now got himself, and bear in mind, his MAGA base will be cheering him on. This is the whole idea of fake news. I was at a rally of his the day last year, the day that he got elected, and as soon as he gets on the riff about fake news, mainstream media making it up, the cheers were echoing around the part of Pennsylvania that I was in at this particular rally. So it's very much playing to his base. But as we started right at the top, and as I think you indicated, this could all go away with a fairly... They have accepted that... I mean, they say it was a mistake. You guys know TV as well as I do. That's not a mistake. That, to lift this... And all it needed was a white flash between the two, and you're in a good place. Then all of this has gone away. So this was not a mistake. This was a deliberate edit that has brought the BBC into disrepute.
And as a journalist, you just know if you're editing clips, you've got to be so careful that the edited clip accurately represents the person who's speaking. It doesn't matter if you agree with the person. In fact, if you disagree with the person, it's even more important. Exactly. So it is really important that the BBC sort of takes a good look at itself, I think, because there will be a lot of people who feel, you know, quite angry about Donald Trump probably working at the BBC. That doesn't mean that you've really got to stick to these standards of impartiality and journalistic integrity.
And remember how it is funded. Uniquely, it is funded by us all.
Yes.
And the next negotiations for what's called the licence fee are just around the corner. This couldn't come at a worse moment, really, for the BBC than now. And you have active parties, Reform UK, Nigel Farage, which, if you look at the polls, he's certainly quite a political force. He's openly saying that under Reform, they would look to scrap the licence fee. There's a good degree of support from them on that. So we will see how that plays out.
Yeah. The deadline, 10 p.m. on Friday to respond.
News at 10.
It's like the Wild West, isn't it? Let's get to our next story. I love this term, porch pirates.
I mean, the term's great.
It's so
but what
good.
it represents is not great.
Not so great.
No.
It's been revealed this morning that £666 million worth of parcels were stolen last year in the UK. Alice, this is a massive issue, right?
It is, and we're sending... The volume of stuff that we are sending around the country has increased massively, exponentially. Billions of parcels compared to same time last year, the year before, and high-value parcels as well. So things are literally just going from doorsteps, porch piracy. It's, you know, some people will be doing their Christmas shopping by swiping your parcels from your doorstep. Two things to remember. Do not specify a safe place, your doorstep as a safe place, if it isn't a safe space, because you have rights with your retailer to reclaim a refund or a replacement if it goes from your doorstep, so long as you haven't said it's OK to be left on your doorstep. But it's a huge, huge problem. And a third of people don't even bother to report when something goes missing now.
But the point is, though, Alice, if something has gone missing and you haven't designated a safe place, you can contact the retailer that you bought it off to say it's gone missing, and they have to sort it out.
The retailer, don't bother going to the delivery company. You don't have a contract with them.
No.
You have a contract with the retailer. So you go to the retailer, and under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, they have to deliver that parcel to you unless you have specified. It's OK, throw it over my gate or leave it behind the bins or with Mrs. Jones at 53. If you've said that and they've done that, then you have no rights.
OK. 5 billion parcels, Nick, were processed annually in the UK in 2023 from just 1.7 billion 10 years prior.
Here's an idea. I don't know whether Alice would agree with this, but I wonder if we could invent these things on high streets that are called shops. And they have these articles in them, and you say, I quite like that set of spoons. I like that spoon. I wonder if that would catch on.
You go to the shop and buy it there. You put it in the shop.
Think how environmentally friendly that would be as well. Not all that packaging would disappear.
All the cardboard. And also, people are in jobs, and you have a conversation, so it kind of works emotionally as well. It'll never catch on.
I don't know about your social media, Sonia, but in lots of my algorithm, you see some of these Ring doorbell footage of people just flagrantly walking up brazenly,
so brave,
picking up
And the thing is, even if you've got
parcels.
that footage, the police are so stretched, they're not going to investigate it or do anything about it. So, and the thing is, I mean, I actually didn't know that if you've put a safe place, that breaks that contract with the retailer. So that is such important information from Alice there. The thing is, though, it's great because you do, sure, you can contact the retailer and they will sort it out for you. But the problem is that someone's got to pay for this £666 million worth of parcels. And what will happen is that we pay for it as consumers in higher prices. So the people who walk off with our parcels, they're the ones who get away with it, and then we end up paying for it, you know, by paying the retailers higher prices. So it is really frustrating. I actually, where I live, it's not a problem for me because I'm in like a massive sort of development of flats. So there's someone to always sign for parcels.
Right.
But I've got friends who this happens to. I do know, I've got a couple of friends, like one of them has actually installed one of those boxes where you just drop the parcels in and you can't get them out. So, but that is really expensive and a pain. It's only really worth it if you're getting a lot of quite expensive things delivered. It's just really annoying that we live in a world where some people, criminals, take liabilities like this and go around and nick people's stuff.
But also the fact that people don't report it. 34% said they don't report the losses. They didn't think they would get a refund, and 28% said they didn't think the police would take any action to help. So
well, I think, as Alice was saying, the police are so stretched.
Of course.
I mean, it's not something the police are going to be able to help you with.
But I've decided my safe space is going to be Alice Beer's house.
There's too much tequila in this beer's house.
There is
Can I
nothing...
just say, really good idea to... I mean, this research was done by a locker company. Fair dues to them. Get your parcel delivered to a locker locally, or a local post office or a local store, and then it's there for you to go and collect.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good
And there's nothing safe about Shea beer, by the way.
Is there not?
No.
Many men don't come out of there
It
alive.
sounds like there's a good story
Oh,
there too.
In fact, I'm sure she will have a hand in this next story as well. There is a new study, Nick Ferrari.
Yes.
Drinking alcohol in your youth may well improve your chances of success and higher income levels later in life.
Well, it never did me any harm, did it?
Finally.
All those brain cells the alcohol kills off, turns out you never really needed them.
Those who start regularly binge drinking, and I think we'd better put a word of warning in there.
agree.
Don't
Please
go
do.
binge
Agree.
in their late teens and 20s were later found to have higher levels of education and income compared to those who abstained or drank very little, says the University of Oslo. All I will say is that in our industry, in news, it probably didn't hurt because you were drinking with the next level up of deputy editors or whatever. You got in with them, you get yourself known, so you mix with the men and women who are making the decisions. Oh, Nick's quite a clubbable bloke, so then maybe when there's a good story to go on and what they call a foreign, you maybe get that. So I don't know that it was the drinking that did it, but the fact that you were there and you were mixing... And you're learning from guys who are in the job, 15 years, and you're hearing how they got this particular story, and you think, oh, right, that's quite clever. So that's how it's helped in my profession.
This study is extraordinary. They tracked the drinking habits of more than 3,000 Norwegians aged between 13 to 31 for 18 years, Sonia. I mean, it's a significant study that they've done,
It's a
isn't it?
significant study, but there is this maxim in social science called correlation, not causation.
Right.
And you do wonder if it just so happens that some of the young Norwegians who went on to do very well also just happen to be, big... like a party in their youth, because maybe they're outgoing, maybe they're more gregarious, maybe they're sort of really life-embracing, and it's that's the underlying cause rather than the going out and getting drunk by binge drinking when you're 19 and at university. So I suspect there's probably more of that going on. I think it's interesting because if you look at trends in drinking today, back when I was at university, going out with your mates and binge drinking was a thing, shall we say. That's a lot of students, mentioning no names, partook in. But the studies at the moment show that kids, in their teens and early 20s are actually drinking less than some of us did in the older generation. And while I think it's really important that young people, are able to go out and have fun, I do think that less binge drinking is not a bad thing because, as is pointed out by the health experts, there are health consequences. So not to be the killjoy.
Might be changing, though. Did you see the last line in the research? In the UK, we lead the way in number of 11-year-olds who've drunk alcohol. 11-year-olds. 34% of girls, 35% of boys have tried booze by the time they go to big school or secondary school.
Yeah.
That's pretty young. So that might be the change. You know how it's sort of my time and then...
Yeah,
exactly. That could be about to change again.
OK, I'm going to take you back to your youth again.
Crikey.
Long way.
That was a
When
long
you-
time.
Yeah,
I don't think they had driving tests.
Can you
when we
remember
were that age.
so long ago?
Was it
They have tried.
Did they have driving tests?
Was
Didn't
it
you
a
just have to-
feather in
No,
it?
you
Just to do the theory test. Is that what it was?
Theory test?
We didn't.
took a theory
I
test.
didn't. Did you do a theory
I
test?
did a theory test.
I
It wasn't hard, though. It's multiple choice.
Right, OK.
But...
A learner driver passed their driving theory test on their 75th attempt last year, it's been revealed.
75.
Should they be on the road
I
or...
know.
It does.
Something else.
Because the thing is, it's because it's multiple choice. I don't know if it still is multiple choice. I assume it is. But you're like, well, maybe it was just random
Not meant
luck.
to be.
But they managed to pass on the 75th time, given they failed 74 times.
Which also means they've spent £1,700 on driving tests.
That's a lot. Well, let's wish... Is it him or her? Let's
don't know.
good
Don't
luck.
know.
Safe
Yeah,
driving,
I mean,
for the
you
love of
really
God.
want to drive, don't you, if you've taken that theory test 75 times.
There's an interesting thing about the theory test now, though, because Sam and Jack have been through it recently, and actually it's set up brilliantly, but of course you can be overly cautious as well on this test. So you have to do hazard perception. So you're going along and you're clicking on things that are happening, and you've got to try and preempt something that might happen on the road that's coming up ahead of you. And you can click too soon or you can click too late. So you can actually
It's
go...
definitely changed its mind. It was a paper multiple
Oh, no.
choice.
It's much more involved now. I think it's a much better test to really understand the realities of being on the road.
So therefore, if it is a much better test, should the person who passed on the 75th attempt...
Well, Yeah, I mean, there is...
I mean, there's try and try again, but then there's try and
but there's
try
people
and
struggle
try.
under exam pressure as well, and it's still a test. I mean, by the time you get to 70, you're going to be panicking every time you go in, thinking you're going to get it wrong.
When you guys did it, was it you pull... And can you read that licence plate number? And 30 miles an hour in the wet, how long will
Stopping
it...
distance.
Stopping distance.
Yes.
Right, so, yeah. Well, it's not hurt me at all.
Has it hurt anybody else? Thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that.
You know, I think fair play, that just has cost them so much money. That's just the theory test as well. They've got to now go and pass the actual practical test.
So you wonder how...
Yeah.
And that one did take me 3 times, I have to say.
3 goes for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it
Third
is.
time
Was it
lucky.
third time for you?
No, I did mine first time.
Did
actually.
you?
Yes. I
In
still
my
can't
defence,
part though. I'm being very honest.
The test was harder than it was when you guys did it.
Oh, come on.
What?
No, they made it harder. Yeah,
Why?
They made it harder because I think the switch
Because you couldn't see over the steering wheel.
You.
I don't know why was it harder?
It was harder because you could fail based just on minor faults, but if you had
so
3 of the
What do you
same
think we
minor,
did? We had to crash into the wall?
yeah, basically, basically.
They were quite generous on my test, if I'm honest.
Me too.
Thank you both.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.